We're in the house again today, but we are looking at something that we did as a bit of an experiment last year, and we're pretty happy with the results, and that was growing ginger, which for us in Ontario, ginger's not exactly something you would necessarily think of growing, being that it's a tropical plant and has a pretty long growing season. We tried some last year, and it was just store-bought ginger. We'll link the video to it. I think we did our reveal on how it did, and we were pleasantly surprised. This year we have the greenhouse, and we think that's going to be a bit of a game changer for us growing ginger on a small scale, because A, we can extend our growing season, but B, it likes the heat. So what we are thinking is by the time we get to the middle of summer, when a lot of our other vegetables may not be liking the heat of the greenhouse, the ginger might still be doing really good, and it may grow really well. That's going to totally be an experiment. But we're just getting ready to take it out of its sort of winter hibernation mode here. It was in the basement in some peat moss, because that was what was recommended when I did some research, and how to store it. So we're going to take a look and see how the tubers that we kept are doing. Alright, so I've already kind of cheated and gone ahead a little bit, and that's why we're doing...
And he was super excited.
Yes.
So I said, make a video!
So that's why we're doing this video. But as you can see here, we've got some growth coming, which is absolutely awesome. So what I'm going to kind of do right now is just take these out and see how they're looking. Obviously that tuber is looking really well, really good. We've got another little one, another one here. And these are tubers that basically came from the new growth last year. But you can see there's some growth on that one. Even this little guy has got some growth. Let's see here. I don't even remember how many of these we have in here. More growth. This is looking really promising. This one I can feel a little bit of a soft spot on it. So it may be... I'm going to have to look into that as to what you're supposed to do, because this half of the tuber feels okay, but this half feels a little soft. So we're just going to kind of put it to the side.
You might be able to cut it off, though.
Well, that's kind of what I'm wondering, if we can still salvage them. But we'll look into that before we plant, I think. Oh, that one's really got some good growth coming, which is awesome. It's roots and shoots. Look at that one. That's got a ton of growth coming. This is fantastic. This is awesome. I said it at the beginning, but we were really surprised. We grew ginger the year we moved here, so 2019 was the first year we tried ginger. And we, typical us fashion, we planted it really late. That one looks alright. Don't see any growth. Oh no, it does have some growth. Oh, this is really exciting. Probably not for you guys who are watching me dig through dig through some soil. Oh, look at the one on that one.
Nice.
That's awesome. So far we've only had the two in this container that may be questionable.
Should also mention, though, that we brought the containers up to warm up because it was cold downstairs. So they've actually been upstairs where it's been pretty close to 20 degrees. They've been up here for a few weeks sitting in the peat moss.
Yeah, ginger just is a slow... So that
could be part of why they've started to sprout so well, is because, one broke
off. It looks like everything pretty much out of here. So I'm going to put them aside. So there's the first container. So these two were kind of questionable, but these tubers look like they've stayed really well. So let's check out container number 2. So here is container number 2, and some of these are bigger, and I can already see some growth there. But I can also see on this one some rot. So this will be, I think...
That's the one, though, that's from last year that we grew, and then we
just tried saving it again. So the story with us and growing ginger, the year we moved, which was 2019, was the first year... Oh, look at that growth. Was the first year that we actually started growing ginger. We did not get it in the ground until quite late. So... we were pleasantly surprised, because we did end up with...
That's a 2-year-old one, and look at the growth on it.
Yeah, that's an older one that is doing pretty good.
This was the second part of our experiment somewhat, because we kept the original tubers that we planted last year, as well as some of the ginger that grew from those tubers, to see if the tubers would re-sprout again.
There's some more.
And some of them are.
Yep, and we didn't harvest a whole lot of the ginger to consume last year because we kind of wanted to have a pretty good amount growing to or saved to see if we can keep growing. But unfortunately, when we moved, we lost it all because it wasn't high priority, and yeah, it froze outside, to put it very bluntly. But we did look at the tubers afterwards. I mean, they were rotten, and we were like, hey, this has some potential. So in 2020, we tried our luck at it again. As you can see, we'd actually done pretty good with it. I forget exactly how many tubers we planted. That's another nice one. Some nice growth. They grew really well, and we did a kind of head-to-head with turmeric because we'd grown turmeric in 2019 as well, and the turmeric looked like it had promise. But in 2019, it didn't perform very well. It was a bit of a letdown. So we are going to try it again, but we're definitely looking forward to this ginger doing well. So here's what we've got from storage. So obviously this one, you can see the growth. This one seems in all right shape. It's not soft, but it doesn't have any new stuff going. So we basically had one, two, three, 4 of the tubers, including this really big one, that have kind of gone soft. But look at all of this pile. These are mostly tubers, mostly. A couple of the bigger ones. I think this one was a 2020 that we put out to plant. But most of these tubers are looking awesome. So we're going to go ahead and get these planted so that they can start their lengthy growth process here. Well, it's been like a month, I think, since we last looked at ginger, and you'll have to excuse the sheep. The one group, they're still out on pasture, kind of want in. The ones in the barn have already been fed, and they're still not happy, so that's not all rainbows and sunshine when you're raising livestock. But we're taking a moment to plant our ginger. So I'm going to show you what I've got done so far. Well, here are our 3 totes. These are just those rough totes. We're not going to put a lot of soil in them. I've sort of stolen some soil from the garden, and what I actually did, these kind of sickly looking red Russian kales we had grown in the house, and they weren't doing super fantastic, but they didn't have a lot of soil. So we just plopped them out here. Kind of, they came out as one big unit out of another tote. And when I dug the hole, because they already had some soil, I sort of stole that extra soil to fill the totes, as you can see here. And I'm going to add a little bit more potting soil to these. And then ultimately, the nice part about this is when we're done growing the ginger at the end of the year, we can either add this to some raised beds or back into the garden or whatever. So it kind of goes back into the system. So I'm only temporarily stealing. Well, there's our 3 pots or totes kind of set up. Now, one thing that's nice about ginger, you don't need a deep pot, but surface area is kind of important because the tubers want to spread. So last year we actually grew individual tubers in smaller pots. This year we're thinking of trying these larger ones. Like I say, some of these have got some pretty good growth on them, and I'm just kind of laying them out to kind of get an idea of how many I can plant per thing. We'll kind of see what we end up with here. I'm trying to work this out to be roughly sort of 6 tubers or 6 partial tubers per, I think there we go. We're 6 tubers per pot. You don't have to plant these super deep, and they've already got some pretty good root growth on some of them. So I'm going to go ahead and dig them down. I don't know, maybe how much? Like I say, they don't
2 inches.
They don't put deep. Probably not even that far. They don't put real deep roots down, but you want space for them to spread. Which last year when we harvested these, because these are all again from ones we harvested last year, we were surprised by how much growth we actually got. So it'll be interesting to see with a bit more space. And we're thinking we're probably going to leave them in the greenhouse even when the weather gets warm because they're tropical. They should do quite well in here. So that's the hope.
Basically, it's kind of dark, but you basically just kind of scooping a handful and then just setting them in and recovering them, basically.
Pretty much. And I probably will add mulch to these eventually, but don't need to do that right now.
If this works, we're going to have lots of ginger.
Well, here's
Because we
hoping.
more than doubled last year what we planted. And this year we're planting all of that again. So hopefully we double again.
Well, basically that's it. So, not super excited at this point, but I guess that's kind of what happens in spring. Everything is planting, 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 and more planting. So, we'll see how this goes. Like I say, this is our ginger experiment 3.0. So, I think we've got some of the bugs out of it. The proof of concept was there. It worked. And we're kind of looking forward to seeing how much these spread. And we kind of figure in the future we probably need about double of what we've got here by the time they spread, because well, we probably would go through that much, plus you would want X amount to save to start some tubers again the next year. So on that note, that's kind of the end of this one, and yeah, I'm sure you'll see us back in the greenhouse sooner than later.